Your heart is beating right now. You didn't ask it to. It just fires every second of every day, every night you sleep, every moment you are unaware it is happening. And that single number, the one your doctor glances at and says nothing about, is quietly running a calculation, adding up the wear, counting the cost, deciding how many years you have left. Most people will go their entire lives without being told what that number means. You are not going to be one of those people. Imagine 2 car engines, same model, both idling. The first runs at 4,000 RPM, pistons hammering, oil burning, going nowhere. The second idles at 1,800 RPM, quiet, smooth. Both look identical from the outside, but one will last twice as long. This is not just a metaphor. This is your heart. Today, we are looking strictly at the biology of resting heart rate, what it is doing inside your body, why medicine has treated it as a footnote, and what 3 of the largest longevity studies in history are finally telling us. Stay until the end for the Pulse Protocol, the exact 3-step system you can start tonight. The countdown clock. Your heart has a finite number of beats. Biologists estimate the human heart fires between 2 and 3 billion times across a lifetime. That is the budget. Every beat is a withdrawal. At 60 beats per minute, your heart fires 31.5 million times per year. At 80 beats per minute, also inside the normal range, it fires 42 million. That is 10.5 million extra beats every year for doing nothing. A 2024 study in Nature Scientific Reports pulled data from the Paris Prospective Study, the Whitehall Study, and the Framingham Heart Study. It followed tens of thousands of people for decades. People above 90 beats per minute averaged a lifespan of 70. People below 60 beats per minute averaged 79. 9 years. Let me repeat that. 9 years, not from disease, not from an accident, but from the speed at which your heart idles at rest. Think of 2 printers sharing 1 ink cartridge. One prints 60 pages an hour, the other prints 80. Same ink. One runs dry far sooner. Your heart does not get a refill. If your resting heart rate is above 70 beats per minute, your biological clock is ticking faster than it needs to. Now we arrive at the most critical mechanism, what a high resting heart rate is physically doing to your arteries, beat by beat every single day. The pressure hammer. Every heartbeat is a pressure wave slamming against your arterial walls. At 60 beats per minute, your arteries absorb 86,400 impacts per day. At 80 beats per minute, they absorb 115,200 impacts per day. That is 28,800 extra strikes, not per year, per day. A meta-analysis of 46 studies covering 1.2 million patients found that all-cause mortality increased 9% for every 10 beats per minute rise in resting heart rate. Every 10 beats. Most people believe normal blood pressure means a healthy heart. This is physiologically backwards. The Framingham Heart Study confirmed, across 30 years and 5,070 subjects, that resting heart rate predicts mortality independent of blood pressure, cholesterol, and fitness level. Independent of everything else. Imagine pressing your thumb against a garden hose 86,000 times a day versus 115,000. Same hose. One cracks in a fraction of the time, like a fire hydrant left running for 40 years and called maintenance. Your arteries are keeping score. The Vegas advantage. Miguel Indurain won the Tour de France 5 times. At rest, his heart beat 28 times per minute. Not 60. 28. This is not genetics. It is the vagus nerve, the master brake of your cardiovascular system, operating at peak efficiency. High vagal tone means a lower resting heart rate. Lower resting heart rate means less daily wear. Less wear means a longer engine. Research in Frontiers in Physiology found that centenarians consistently demonstrated higher parasympathetic heart rate variability. The autonomic nervous system was not a passenger in their longevity. It was the driver. This makes evolutionary sense. A calm predator is a successful predator. High resting heart rate is your body broadcasting an emergency, even when there is no emergency. Your vagus nerve is either your greatest longevity asset or your most ignored liability. Remember that idling engine, 1,800 revolutions per minute, outlasts 4,000 because it is not burning itself up on threats that aren't real. Now we move into what nobody warns you about. What happens when your resting heart rate slowly drifts upward while you assume everything is fine? The silent creep. Your resting heart rate is not fixed. For most adults, it drifts in one direction, up. Chronic stress keeps your sympathetic nervous system slightly activated around the clock. Not a red alarm, just enough to raise your resting heart rate by 5, 8, or 10 beats over months and years, while you notice nothing. Poor sleep accelerates it. One bad night raises your resting heart rate by 3 to 5 beats the next day. The same 2024 study found a 10 beats per minute increase over 5 years was associated with a 20% higher mortality risk. In the Framingham data, 13% higher in men and 9% higher in women over 8 years. 20% from a drift you would never notice. It is like a slow roof leak. One drip is nothing. But that same drip, every day for 5 years, rots the structure from inside, and the house looks fine right until the ceiling caves. Go find your resting heart rate from 2 years ago. If it went up, your body is sending you a bill, and the interest compounds. The normal trap. The skeptics will say they are in the normal range, 60 to 100, and that their doctor said they are fine. This is the most dangerous myth in cardiovascular medicine, and it is physiologically backwards. Normal describes the statistical average of a chronically sedentary, overstressed population. Normal is common, not optimal. A resting heart rate of 80 sits inside the normal range and is also, based on decades of data, associated with significantly higher mortality than 50. The range is not a green light. It is a spectrum. And where you sit is doing its math on your lifespan, whether you are paying attention or not. Now, I want to be real with you. You cannot lower your resting heart rate overnight. You cannot do it by deciding to stress less. The 3 things that actually work are specific, sequenced, and shockingly simple, but they require consistency. Your heart does not respond to bursts. It responds to patterns. Here's the protocol. The pulse protocol. Step 1, the zone 2 trigger. Zone 2 is 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. Deliberate exercise like brisk walking, casual cycling, or light swimming. Conversation pace, not strolling, not sprinting. This intensity builds stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped per beat, and that is the precise mechanism that lowers resting heart rate. 20 to 30 minutes, 4 to 5 days per week. Research shows resting heart rate reduction within 8 to 12 weeks. No drug does this. No membership required. Free, effective, and entirely within your control. Step 2, the exhale reset. When your exhale equals or exceeds your inhale, the vagus activates, the parasympathetic system takes control, and your heart rate falls. Documented physiology, not a trend. Inhale 5 seconds. Exhale 5 seconds. 5 minutes a day. That is 300 seconds standing between you and a measurably slower resting heart rate and a nervous system that stops treating your desk chair like a battlefield. Step 3, the sleep lock. Your heart rate bottoms out between 3 and 4 a.m. during deep sleep. That is the only window where your cardiovascular system truly recovers. Steal it with inconsistent sleep timing and your resting heart rate never hits its floor. And over months, that floor rises. Same bedtime, same wake time, every day. Your heart is not impressed by the weekend. 3 inputs, 1 outcome. A slower, stronger, longer lasting heart. We live in a world that checks your cholesterol, scans your organs, and orders full blood panels, and almost never tells you what your resting heart rate means for how long you live. That number has been on your doctor's clipboard for years, filed away every time as unremarkable. It is not unremarkable. The pharmaceutical industry has no pill for a resting heart rate of 52. No procedure to bill for.
The fitness industry would rather sell you the expensive version of something your biology was built to do for free. A slower heart is not a weak heart. It is a trained heart, an engine that learned to do more with less because it was given the right inputs consistently over time. You are not a passive passenger in how fast your heart ages. The pulse protocol is the biological lever the data says works, and it is entirely within your control. You can keep ignoring the number on your wrist, or you can start tonight. Walk with intention, breathe with purpose, protect the one window every 24 hours when your heart actually gets to recover. Your 80-year-old self will either thank you for this, or they won't be there to have the chance.
Quick note, the pulse protocol is for healthy adults. If your resting heart rate is consistently below 40 and you are not an endurance athlete, or if it is above 100 at rest, speak to your cardiologist first. Now, comment below. Are you a below 60 machine cruising at 70 or a red zone runner above 80? Tell me which one. Your answer decides what we cover next. Like this video, subscribe. We are just getting started.